Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in today on a great viewer question, and that was, how do you then, after experiencing a very traumatic, profoundly hurtful relationship with a toxic individual, someone who is malignant, narcissistic, or psychopathic, someone who has made a deep wound, a profound hurt, an indelible scar within you emotionally, psychologically, even physically, feeling that you're not able to be affectionate with others anymore. You lack a core of trust. How do you really then attract a positive, healthy relationship back into your life after experiencing this? Well, for one, it's very important to understand that you must have unconditional positive regard for yourself. In other words, embracing and loving the soul of you, embracing and loving the spirit of you, embracing and loving the humanity and values that you cherish and you hold dear, beginning to love those and know those on a daily and consistent basis. And that anyone who is in a relationship with you to be close or intimate must know that part of you. In other words, they must be able to reflect and know who you are at the soul of you, at the spirit of you, what you truly cherish, what you truly value, your own unique and original way of being, that they must be able to accept and respect that. So someone who does not allow you to live with that positive, unconditional self-regard is going to be a red flag. It's going to become difficult for you to maintain those people in your relationship because you're always going to feel you have to compromise, adapt and adjust to another's needs rather than honoring your need. And then that becomes habituated, and on down the road, it can lead you off the path of your own life purpose. Not your life porpoise, your life purpose. Feeling a sense of you know who you are, what you stand for, what you live for, what makes your heart tick, what makes you get excited and truly in touch with the sublime in life. So those really experiences of your ability to live from that state becomes called into question. So begin to identify that and know that if that is compromised, there is going to be an issue. And it is to know also that you do not have to sugarcoat things the way you want to communicate. In other words, you don't have to constantly adapt and adjust your method of communication to suit or keep in a state of relationship a individual. In other words, you have to always adjust and adapt to their needs in terms of your communication style. You might find that you're infantilizing too much. A lot of people who have been in relationships have been made to be in very regressed states where they can't be mature, they can't be sophisticated, they can't be complex because of the growth of their values and their ideas. This is not accepted. Their opinions are not heard. So they then let go of their own desire to grow and pursue their own talents or their own dreams and desires for that of another. In other words, their superiority complex, their grandiosity has taken over the helm, and it's edged them out of the seat of importance in the relationship. So they feel that it's a compromise. So this is not always positive, because then on down the road, eventually you're going to feel unfulfilled, and you're going to feel that only half of you is in the relationship. This part of you that's had to, hollow out or is missing from the relationship. So that's when they say, well, there was something missing from the relationship. Oftentimes it's the true, authentic you in the way that you want to be and communicate and smile and laugh and what you're attracted to. So they're not permitting that real you to be. So that can be a real good indicator, and to identify that this needs to be activated, and I need to be able to live and dream and feel from this positive state versus always having to be silenced, always having to be the third in line, the eighth in line. I can never be center stage with this individual because they're always trying to squelch me out. They always have a need for superiority. So this can be a very good indicator as well. The fact that you don't always have to stress to impress this person. In other words, you can go, you can be yourself. You don't always have to look perfect. You don't have to sound perfect. You don't have to be in tip-top physical shape. You don't feel like you always have to be in, always, everything just so. In other words, you can just be yourself. And not that you, are a slovenly around this person, or they, keep you in a state of disrepair or a state of neglect. It's more that you do not have to overly be presentable for them. And I know especially a lot of women, a lot of men also feel that they have had to live up to another standard of others versus, having a standard for themselves. And really, as time moves forward, that's really what's important, is that you identify and know the standards that you have for yourself and not conform to the standards of others. This perfectionist model, having to make a certain amount of money to attract somebody, to have to always pay the bill, if you're a man, to always have to be the main breadwinner in the family. You might be a woman and might want to, be the main breadwinner or be able to treat the man. You might want to be able to have that spontaneity and ebb and flow. Those things might make you feel good. That might be a standard you have for yourself. You might want to earn your own way, and then this person always wanted to keep you under their thumb. Or this person was heavily parasitic on you, and this dependency, this passivity, you thought was nurturing and caregiving, when you realized that they were being overly passive, overly parasitic, overly dependent as a way to manipulate you. And so these are not healthy, because it becomes too much. It leads to a trauma bond versus a healthy feeling of interaction and honor and respect in a relationship. Also, the presence of empathy, someone who can empathize and feel with you, not on a superficial sense, but on a real, organic, authentic sense. And sure, there's going to, who are there to say, what, you're not always perfect. You don't always have to be up. You don't always have to be, ready to go, to always, go to the bar and go dancing. I mean, you can have some time just to be. In other words, you don't have to always be turned on. You can be able to relax. You can be comfortable. You can let your guard down without the fear that you're going to be made vulnerable or be betrayed or gaslighted while you're relaxing. The scapegoating, the things that tend to occur when this person has a shell or shill of a relationship versus a true heartfelt relationship. So you need to kind of look at, say, well, you know what? The idea that there's a feeling of substance in the relationship should be important. And even though you might be seduced and tempted to feel otherwise, in other words, you see the people cruising around with the BMWs. They seem to have the perfect life. These are things you're telling yourself. It's not often to do with reality. The trappings of success are oftentimes trappings of success, and they're not the liberations of success. And especially when, you learn that to be the case, that really your health, your happiness are the intangible things which really do make your heart tick. And it's important to be able to dissect these and know these for yourself. And, it's kind of like the lessons learned. Well, I thought this was going to make me happy, but it doesn't. I thought being with this person was going to be fulfilling and make me whole, but it is not. And I'm now coming to grips with the things that I need to do. In other words, if I'm moody or if I'm down or if I'm sad, this person can see that and embrace that and say, that's beautiful about you that you're moody. It's okay. You are sensitive. You have this, this experience. This is part of you, and I see that and I love that about you, and that is okay. And then finally there's this feeling like of relief, like, wow, I don't have to hide my sensitivity. I don't have to hide that I'm moody. I don't have to hide that I care. I don't have to hide that I want to wear sweatpants or that I want to wear a ball gown and that I want to go dancing or I just want to sit. They're able to embrace you at your full spectrum of who you are. You don't have to be picture perfect. You don't have to be ready to go onto the stage of life. You don't have to feel like that life has to be a stage, that you can live it from that heart space, which doesn't always need to impress people. And so oftentimes, there's so much energy, that is depleting in those type of relationships. And so it takes on a new quality and a new lifestyle for you, which you can really see relationships and humanity through new eyes that are energy giving to you versus energy depleting. I have an itch in my nose. Yikes. Oh my God. Okay, there we go. And so a viewer has so aptly stated, peace and harmony. What do you mean by a taxing lifestyle with a malignant narcissist or a psychopath? What do you mean by a taxing lifestyle? I mean that it takes too much energy. It takes too much of a toll. It takes too much out of you to maintain. You find that you're over obligating. You're over giving yourself of yourself to this person. You're trying to pacify their needs. You're trying to do too much to keep the relationship going. In other words, it becomes very depleting. It becomes a high maintenance relationship. You have to always answer to their texts. You have to always present yourself in a specific way. You have to become paranoid because you're sensing that there's something incongruent. There's a cognitive dissonance that you're feeling. The feelings don't match the words. The feelings that they tell you, you're their main squeeze, or you're a sweet pea, or you're the light of my life, or you're the love of my life, or these things that they tell you, you feel that there's a double speak going on, that there's a cognitive dissonance going on. In other words, what they're saying is not matching how you're feeling. In other words, you're starting to sense a disconnect. That's your sixth and seventh sense, your intuition and your conscience really starting to wake up. It's the higher profound parts of your being in your subconscious that are trying to get your attention. But, for the thrill of the relationship, people want to push that out. They want to squelch it out. They want to edge it out. They want to say, no, I just need to work harder. No, I'm being too sensitive. And you begin to make excuses for how you might not be able to maintain the relationship. You might feel that it's breaking apart. You might feel that there's distance coming and you don't want someone else to get your spot in the relationship. You have a sneaky feeling, you have suspicion coming up, and so you try to act in order to belay those feelings of suspicion. You might be constantly questioning them. You might, begin to feel through their absence that there's something else going on. And so this can become really a very taxing lifestyle to be day in and day out with this type of individual. And eventually you have to say, enough is enough. This is taking too much out of me. And it's not that you're a failure. It's that this relationship is too shallow for you. It doesn't have the substance. It doesn't have the true heartfelt connection, which is what healthy relationships are founded on. It's not to admit that you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you weren't funny enough. All those things, you could be, all of those things, and you are, but it's this person wants to be the superior one. They are living by this. They have to have all the supply, and they are not oftentimes able to commit to the real relationships. They don't have the responsibility. They don't have the accountability. In the antisocial psychopathic individuals, they have a lack of responsibility and failure to plan and be responsible and accountable for the long term. They don't think that way. So oftentimes they will enter into marriages or on the surface committed relationships, but it's not in the way that you would think. It's in the way for a shill or a sham or a facade of a relationship contrary to what's really going on within. In other words, they make the commitment to appear as though, or because it's just a win for them. It's more objectification to say, really, they do it not out of love, but out of taking. In other words, very objectifying, more so than most people can comprehend. And as Dr. Martha Stout states in her book, The Sociopath Next Door, it's very difficult because when you're in then a relationship with a diseased person who might have a true disease, there's usually an element of suffering. Like if someone is suffering through cancer, if they're suffering through other surgical procedures where they need attention, they need physical recovery, they're actually suffering, they're in pain. This is a sense of disease. As Dr. Martha Stout states, really when we're looking at psychopathy or malignant narcissism, they are not suffering as a result of their disorder. They're not hurting it. It's because they're hurting others and they're taking delight or pleasure that it becomes a problem more for the other and not for them. So that's where it becomes a real disconnect. What's a problem for you is never a problem for them. The fact that they can take whatever they want, treat you however they want, lie through their teeth to you, have double and triple lives going on, juggling all sorts of relationships and facades, taking other people's briefcases, disrupting somebody's computer, trying to plant seeds of deception, making things appear different than what they are. In other words, always trying to cover their tracks. These are the elements of an unhealthy relationship, but they will keep you on always kind of on the path when you're trying to find the clues leading to the exposure. So knowing that you had to be like a super sleuth in a healthy relationship, you should not have to be that. You should be able to really be freer and a lot more liberated and not always have to be in the state of worry. So if this has been perpetuated or memorized by you that this is what it takes to be a success, is that it takes, those standards of meeting another, begin to make a commitment to yourself and say, these are my standards that I uphold and this is right for me. And somebody must be able to match that. They must be able to honor and respect that. And I should be able to impress myself and not stress. In other words, taking the stress elements out of the relationship that have perpetuated those unrealistic standards. It's being able to see through the veil of the media or even what other close associates say that this is how to have a healthy relationship. Well, begin to direct and identify and have an image for yourself, a vision for yourself of what a healthy relationship is. Just like we've discussed here in the privacy of these videos, that it's going to feel different. It's going to look different. You're going to see things through new eyes, and that is okay. And that is sustainable, and that's really where the joy is. And it's not that you're letting yourself off the hook. It's stating that I am right, and I am holding standards for those people who are right for me, and I'm letting go now in love and compassion those people who could not be the match for me. It's not a sense of failure, it's a sense of success, and now knowing who you are and what you stand for and what you care about, and allowing that to grow, and then being able to realize that life will deliver the people, the experiences, the magical and the miraculous to let you know you are on the right path. You have to have faith, you have to believe, you have to let go, and you have to be able to receive that goodness, and then you will know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you are loved, that love has been trying to get in through, through the channels of the heart. It is now yours to claim in the healthy regard that is truly energizing. And then don't look back, look forward, press onward in love, peace, and harmony. It's your buddy here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.